Hello, everybody, and welcome to the 20th episode of the Men of ZEN, an animation research podcast. My name is Brent.
I'm Phil.
Unfortunately, Aiden couldn't make it today. He had some family things he needed to take care of, but he did send us some input that he would like to read about today's topic, which is The Great Pretender, a Netflix series, an original Japanese net animation produced by WIT Studio, directed by Hiro Kaburagi, and written by Ryota Kosawa. An original net animation, or an ONA, known in Japan as a web anime, is an anime that's directly released onto the internet. So over there, we didn't get that. Now, I don't know if that technically also means is Netflix, like if it releases straight to Netflix. I don't know if that counts as an ONA. Because now there's all these streaming services. Is it technically the internet? Is that what they're meaning? I don't know. I couldn't find anything about that specifically, but I thought that was interesting. I didn't know that acronym for ONA.
Yeah. Did you also know that this show was an anime first? And there was a manga that was serialized a month. The manga started 1 month before the anime officially released.
Oh.
But technically, the anime was made first, then the manga.
Because I did look up some of like the manga stuff, and I was expecting to see, like big differences, and it's exactly the same. So that does make sense. I never really thought about, I didn't look at the date that was released, but yeah, I was just like, okay, there's no big differences. It looks like it's the same shit. So didn't really think to talk about it. So before we dig into what this series is about, I have some information on Ryota Kosawa and Hiro Kaburagi. Here we go. Ryota Kosawa, born 1973, age 49 years old. 49 years old. Wow, I can't fucking talk today, guys. I'm stupid. He was born in Kanagawa, Japan. Hiro Kaburagi.
Nothing.
I know you couldn't see that, but or hear anything. That was me shrugging my shoulders. I got nothing. These men are international men of mystery. There is quite literally not shit on either one of these. I almost didn't even find where Ryota Kosawa was born. Kanagawa, Japan is kind of interesting though, because they are it's like at that very southern tip, like right near the bend of Japan, and it's got a lot of interesting stuff. It's got like the Japanese U.S. Naval Air Base. That's in Atsugi. It's pretty cool actually. You should take some time and look up that area, Kanagawa. Very, very interesting area that you don't really hear about too often.
Are you saying these guys are men of mystery, just like the main characters in The Great Pretender?
They absolutely are. So, The Great Pretender. This series arcs are called cases, right? So each episode will be like case one, part this, and it will have like a name of what they're doing. So the first case, called The Los Angeles Connection, was released in June 2020 on Netflix in Japan. Okay, there we go. So ONA, released on Netflix. I guess they are counting that. The series' first three cases, Los Angeles Connection, Singapore Sky, and Snow of London, were released worldwide on Netflix August 2020, followed by its fourth case, Wizard of the Far East, in November. The series also aired from July to December in 2020 on Fuji TV's Plus Ultra anime programming block. Let's dig into these characters, because holy shit, there's a fuck ton of characters, and a lot of them are very important. We're not going to cover all of them, but we do have like a main cast, right? And so the main premise of this show is all of these people are con artists. Mm-hmm. Every single one of them is out to get you in some way. And they always have a plan within a plan, within a plan, within a plan, with a contingency, and then fall back to, well, do whatever the fuck we can to get the fuck out.
Pretty much
finish
plans,
the job.
Yeah, pretty much plans A through Z, and then after that, 1 through 100.
Yeah, dude, it's oh man, it starts kind of slow, I will say.
Yeah.
It took me a minute to be like, all right, to get me invested. And I mean, I think I watched this about a year ago. I just, again, boredom on the couch. I was like, what's this? And the animation is what caught my eye.
Yeah.
Dude, it is fucking gorgeous. The backgrounds, the character designs, everything is very grounded and realistic. They don't have a bunch of superpowers or crazy shit going on. I mean, there are some like really intense moments where you're like, that's really exaggerated, but there isn't anything that I'd be like, whoa. Like with the level of planning these guys do, I would say some of this could be believable. It would just be insane to do.
Right.
Like our first character, Makoto Edamura, or Edamame, as the Confidence team, or Team Confidence, likes to refer to him as, played by Chiaki Kobayashi in Japanese, and Alan Lee and Griffin Faulkner as the child in the English versions. He is the protagonist, a small-time Japanese con man who aspires to greater things, hoping to find good pay for his mother's illness. She's super sick, and he starts working for a company that he is unaware of engaging in fraud, is arrested and imprisoned for his involvement. Unable to find honest work after being paroled because of his arrest and the stigma from his father's criminal past, he decides to become a con artist instead. He ends up becoming Laurent's partner after an unsuccessful attempt to con him. He is nicknamed Edamame by Laurent, who has difficulty pronouncing his name, so he just calls him whatever. He has a fascination with the gashapon and buys them at various points in the series. Laurent is like our number 2. Well,
he's like
I don't know.
He's like the leader, or like one of the main leaders of the gang. But like,
it's hard for me to say who this show is. Like, Makoto feels like he is the main character.
I'd say so.
But then there's Laurent, which is also a very main character, especially in season 2.
So, I guess with me having only seen season 1, I would definitely say Makoto is number 1, but Laurent is he's a background character. He kind of orchestrates things in the background. He's essentially, in a weird way, he plays the role of like a sensei or a teacher to Makoto, teaching him the ropes, and he sees this great talent that he has, and he wants to, expand upon that, make him better, teach him, to be a better con artist. And I would say, at least for season 1, as far as I've seen, he's definitely more of a background character. He's the guy who makes sure things are set in motion. He's constantly got a plan, and he's the one that essentially brings the cases to Makoto.
He's the guy that has more of the contingencies of just go for it. Like, we've got a plan, but he loves to improvise, and he'll just do whatever he can to make the plan work. He doesn't like to take no for an answer. Once they have a target, they are going after that target. Now, what's interesting is these targets that they're going after are all major criminals in some way or another, whether they are child trafficking, like in season 2, where that shit gets dark. I'll cover a little bit about that, but that has a phenomenal ending, and I feel like that the ending of season 2 really cements the fact that the show is done. And not in a way that you'll expect, so I'm not going to obviously give any spoilers away there, but man, it's so good. Laurent is, I think he's supposed to be French. Yeah, he's an expert French con man, renowned for his persuasiveness and quick wit. He grew up in Brussels with his mother, Emma Thierry, and he learned several different languages as a child, as he aspired to become a diplomat originally. An investor named Hugo took advantage of Emma's dyslexia, tricking her out of her life savings. One night, Laurent tried to kill Hugo, but ended up stabbing a woman named Dorothy instead, whom he later fell in love with. He operates as a gentleman thief, only targeting rich, corrupt people who are a negative influence to society. He uses the scams to expose his targets for their misdeeds, while helping those who were victimized by their targets live honest and happy lives. While ruthless towards his victims, he treats his comrades and associates like family. He has a flirtatious nature and is a reputed playboy.
Oh, yeah. Makes sense.
Very much so.
I like him, though, as a character. He, like you said, he's merciless towards his targets, but like he takes care of everyone around him, and he does it at the end of the day for good. So he's not a bad guy, in my opinion, whatsoever.
What did you think of Abigail?
Abigail was, at first, I was like, when I first saw her character, I was like, she's gonna be a typical ditzy girl, but then completely changed her persona, realizing that she's part of the crew. And she definitely is more of the, I want to say she's more of the deeper characters. She's there because of a purpose. She did not have a good upbringing, and it sounds like none of these characters really did have a good upbringing. They were all hurt in some way. by awful people in the past, and now they're doing this to get revenge and trying to make the world a better place and getting rid of these awful people.
Yeah.
I like her a lot, though, and that's actually our next character. If you don't, let me, prepare this. Abigail Jones, voiced by Natsumi Fujiwara in Japanese and Kusar Mohammed in English, an athletic, taciturn woman who is Laurent's second in command. Her great physical abilities come in part from her childhood ballet training. Her life changed when Baghdad was bombed, killing her parents. She became a child soldier. She carries a dented medal that she won in a ballet competition as a memento of her parents.
Yeah, you find out she's got a really troubled past where she was forced to, it was either kill or be killed, and she's traumatized by this. Like, constantly throughout the show, it's repeated that she goes above and beyond in these missions that are very life-threatening because she does not care. She wants to die. She just doesn't necessarily want to do it herself. So she's like, I'll throw my life away doing something maybe meaningful, but she doesn't give a shit.
Now, something I just thought of, and tell me if I'm crazy. She reminds me of Black Widow from the Marvel series. She had a history in ballet, dancing. She lost her parents a long time ago due to war. And she essentially is a spy of some sort. She's consciously playing, she's tricking people, pretending to be someone she's not. She's a great fighter, great athlete. She definitely gives me that Black Widow, Natasha Romanoff type vibe.
Yeah, I could see that. Oh, I definitely never really made that connection before. Yeah, she's a great character that once you do see this episode, that brings up her trauma, it really changes the way you think about her as a character. Because when you're first introduced, she's just the cold-hearted asshole who just wants to do the job. She doesn't fucking want to talk to you, but she does her job well.
Oh yeah,
and she's got some amazing character development right along with our next character, Cynthia Moore, voiced by Mie Sonozaki in Japanese and Laura Post in English. One of Laurent's associates who uses her feminine charms and acting skills to manipulate their targets. Her abilities came from her training to become a stage actress as a young adult.
Oh, she's definitely the plot.
Yeah, she's worth two of them. Two whole plots. She's got them.
She's the character that, she dresses very, very fancy, but she also knows she's a gorgeous woman, and she uses her, physical attractiveness to trick and persuade targets or anyone that they need to get past. She's very proud of her appearance and her abilities. So, but I like her a lot, especially in her episode where her arc. And it's funny, like each arc typically is about one of the characters. It's kind of like, along with the job, you're also going into a bit of their backstory, and hers was pretty, I don't know, I just felt like I resonated more with that than Abigail's, because I obviously never been in such a horrible situation like Abigail's. But Cynthia, she aspired to be something big, and then she fell in love, and then just one thing led to another, and it ended up where she just decides to say, fuck it, I'm going to be a con woman. And I don't want to give too many spoilers. It's a really good arc you should watch.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful.
And she really, at the end of that arc, just gets closure. And that's what we all want at the end of the day.
Yeah.
And she's such a cool character.
So, like we were saying earlier, how this is set up into different cases. I know we mentioned the names before. Los Angeles Connection is largely about, the meeting of Laurent and him recruiting Makoto to his team after. So it's Makoto has a con that's he's really low level street con kind of stuff where he swindles people out of their wallets, out of their watches, takes their money, takes their ID or passport or whatever, that kind of little petty shit. And he's got a guy that he works with named Kudo, voiced by Yohei Todano in Japanese and Mike Pollock in English. He's a Japanese con man and Edamami's boss for his first job. After being caught by the police, he joins Laurent's gang. Now, Kudo is a very small, older gentleman. He's really funny.
Oh, yeah, he's great.
He's
got a lot of
hilarious guy. Yeah, he's awesome. He doesn't have a ton of like major roles in the show, I would say,
Right.
that affect a lot, but he is there to offer his support in a number of different ways throughout the series.
He is definitely there. He's always one of the characters that always like dresses in like disguise, and he plays the part that he needs to play.
Yeah.
You know, he's more there for for comedic effect, but you know, he's got a purpose. He's
Yeah.
pretty smart too.
Yeah, no, yeah, he definitely is. He's always got, he's got some scheme, but his schemes tend to go sideways a lot really fast, which is how Makoto got arrested in the first place, where he didn't even realize they were running like some big scam on these things. He thought he was like just doing sales and making a
Yep.
killing with these sales, only to find out that I don't remember if it was the product that they were selling really wasn't what it seemed. I don't fucking remember.
Yeah, it's something like that. It basically they were selling something that wasn't exactly what they what they said it was, so they broke some Japanese law. And of course, Makoto having his father's criminal record behind him, the police didn't believe Makoto that he had no idea, and of course that's awful when they just assume that you're bad just because your parent is bad, and
Yep.
that's just. I get it. Why he became a swindler though. He's basically like, well, I can't stop people from thinking I am a bad guy or I'm a swindler, so I might as well just play into it.
Yeah. So I feel like that's most of our main characters. Well, there is one other that I will mention that you might not know who it is. Dorothy, which is Laurent's ex-lover and the leader of the original Confidence Gang,
No,
played
I
by
don't.
Yuka Komatsu in Japanese and Laura Stahl in English. There's a lot more to Dorothy, that she's almost like, I don't know, she's like if Abigail was happy-go-lucky.
Ooh, okay.
Is really what it feels like to me. She's got a super positive attitude, but at the same time, she's the person that's like, fuck it, if I die, I die, oh well. But she's really happy about it all the time. So I'm like, oh, okay. And she takes a major role in season 2, but season 2 is more of, it's almost split in half between a prequel and a sequel to how the show started and then how it ended. And it is tragic, the shit that happens in season 2. It is nuts. Like some things that you think you knew about Makoto's dad, Seiji Ozaki, played by Shunsuke Sakuya in Japanese and Kirk Thornton in English, Edamame's father. He worked as a lawyer while secretly working with Laurent's gang. He was arrested for aiding a human trafficking network that led to Edamame being able to get a regular job. So he
Didn't know that part.
he plays a
Was that something
major.
in season 2 they talk about? See, I did not watch season 2, so I did not
Yeah.
know about that, Brent.
Yep. Oh yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, this is not the twist. Like there are many twists in season 2 that had me going, "What the fuck?" I'm not going to talk
excited.
about those, but just some information that, I mean, you learn a little, since it's a prequel, you learn a little bit about Makoto's dad,
Yeah.
which in season 1 he's just described as a loser who left him and his mother to die. Because again, his mom was sick and he was a big fancy lawyer, but he fucked up somehow on a case and he just ended up disappearing. They don't know where he went. They never heard from him again. He just cut all ties with his family. But there's some pretty interesting reasons for that. So back to these cases with the Los Angeles connection, it is largely about Laurent and Makoto and Abigail get together to try to sell to a drug dealer a fake drug called Sakura Magic.
Yeah.
And Laurent says that it's like a little cherry candy gumdrop kind of thing that so he has Abigail already infiltrated into this fancy drug dealer's home well in advance. So this drug dealer thinks, Abigail is in his pocket. They would have no fucking idea who this new businessman and his partner are, offering to sell them this magic drug that is like super strong. So Laurent says, here, why don't you test it out? And hands one to Abigail. And she does this crazy, like she turns like psycho for a few minutes, and it impresses this drug guy and all of the women at this pool that they're at, and they're so impressed by it. They're like, holy shit, that drug does that? And they're like, yeah, but again, he doesn't know Abigail's a plant, just acting this part out. So that's some of like how they get their ends, is they have people infiltrate way in advance and then later pretend like they have no fucking idea who they are.
Right.
So then, they're really on their side the whole time. And this Sakura magic thing is really cool because just out of nowhere, like Makoto doesn't even know what the plan is really. They're just there trying to sell this drug. And then Laurent goes, oh, by the way, Makoto was the scientist that developed this. And he's like, what? He's like, how? Oh, but they're already there. And he's in the middle of it like, yeah, I made this in a super secret lab. And they're like trying to buy the recipe from him. And he's like, I can't just make it here like in front of you. And they're like, well, why not? And he's like, well, because your lab sucks. This isn't right. I need more. I need all my equipment. I need all the good stuff. And so this big drug dealer kingpin spends thousands, if not millions of dollars developing a lab and then says, okay, now you make it. It's like, so shit. Fucking good. They just keep getting like into deeper and deeper shit. And it's fucking great. Case 2, Singapore Sky. This is my favorite. It is so amazing with the air race. Do you remember with Abigail becomes a pilot in like these fancy stunt planes?
Yeah,
they are. Let's see, I don't remember exactly where it was. So in the first episode of this new case, Edamura spends the next 2 years in prison from his first case that they were on, and when he gets out, he starts training as a mechanic. On his release, he begins a new life working as a car mechanic at the Nakoshima Heavy Industries. The owner, Shugo Nakanoshima, shows Edamura his propeller airplane and teaches him how to maintain it. Now, this is really important because there's not a whole lot of people that can work on like these older prop planes. There's like a lot of technical aspects to it. Meanwhile, Danny, who's an arrogant manager, fires Chris, an employee he had sexually harassed. Danny flies to Las Vegas where he meets Cynthia, who asks him to place bets for her on Abby at an underground boxing club with fixed matches. However, it's a scam, and Danny loses all of his money when Abby throws a match, and Cynthia later delivers his money to Chris. Sometime later, Laurent's gang approaches Edamura and reveals that they have formed an air racing team as part of their next con, and had him trained as a mechanic for that purpose. Again, Makoto did not know. He's just like, hey, I can help you get a job. Makoto didn't know he was secretly training for another fucking con.
Right.
Laurent just ropes him into it, and he's like, fucking what the fuck, dude? So way in advance, he has people planted in these positions that they don't even know their positions. And it's fucking stupid. It happens all the time.
He basically manipulated him in the 2 years that he was in prison to want to be a mechanic who wants to work on these only for his plan that was going to take effect in the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Like, holy shit.
Yeah, so there's basically the plan is there's this illegal air racing ring going on where they have like rigged and fixed matches and stuff, but the guy who's this multi-billionaire of a dude pretends that nothing is rigged and he's just super rich, blah 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 blah, and they fuck up his whole fucking shit, like to the point where they basically take all of his money. They take him for all that he's got. And it is phenomenal how they get away with this. It's so cool, but the scenes are beautiful with the it reminds me of like Studio Ghibli level animation where it's just highly detailed in really weird ways that you would never really think, especially on the plane. Did you notice on the plane there's a Bandai logo?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
That was pretty cool. It's like, hey, I know those guys.
Yeah, I play those games.
That was that picture with Leonardo DiCaprio going, hey, that was me. That was me the whole fucking time. And that one is beautiful. It's at this Marina Bay with just water all around, like they're on this fancy peninsula in the middle of the fucking ocean. Oh, it's gorgeous. Tons of the colors are bright. The backgrounds alone are some of the most well-detailed backgrounds I've seen in anything.
The animation's great. I definitely think it's one of its stronger points in this anime.
Man. Now, after Singapore Sky, we have Snow of London.
Ooh, I do like Snow of London, but do you know what I also like? That sound.
Ooh, what is that sound?
And that is the sound, Brent, of our sponsor, Dubby.
Tell me more.
So Dubby is, energy drinks out there. Monster, Bang, and Rain. Get out of here. We don't need any of those. What you need in your life is Dubby Energy. It's an energy powder that, one, is way more cost effective than buying energy drinks. I bought one tub of it, and I'm good for the next 35 drinks. And it equals out to about $1 per drink in comparison to $4 per drink. Don't need that.
I was just talking to my girlfriend about that this morning. I was like, you know what, honestly, like, I really do love this stuff. It's really good. Like, for the price and how many drinks I get, it's insane. I've had like one a day every day for the last 2 weeks. I don't even think I'm half done. Like, the container says you get like, what, 30 servings? I'm like, no fucking way. There's no way.
And you know what? It gives me way more energy than any of those other competitors out there. I used to drink 1 to 2 a day when I was working in retail. Not anymore. I have one of these sometime during the day, and I feel fantastic.
Yeah, Dubby contains no calories, no sugar, no maltodextrin, no fillers, and no artificial colors. And you can get that at dubby.gg, and at checkout use our code Men of Zen for 10% off of your purchase order. Dubby.gg. Get your dub.
You know what? It's the holidays. Get you something nice. Get your loved ones something nice.
Get a waifu cup.
Oh no, it's a Dubfu cup.
Oh, a Dubfu.
It's the Dubfu. Yeah, you like big titty anime girls on your cup? They got you covered.
They got you. They got them well, not quite uncovered, but well, sort of.
Well, no, it's definitely covered. Definitely covered.
In a sexy way.
Have
you ever called a cup sexy before? You can also get their tree cups. So every time you buy one of these W tree cups, they plant a tree in a location that needs trees planted. I don't know exactly where, but I'm sure somewhere.
For every cup you buy, they plant a tree. Save the planet. Save yourself some money. Get Dubby. Use the checkout code Men of Zen for 10% off your order, and you'll thank us later.
Hey, man, I love those guys. It's truly great. Now, this Snow of London, I will say, if I thought the animation for some of Singapore Sky was good, holy shit. Like, when they get detailed backgrounds of downtown London, the cobblestone streets, the background with, like, Big Ben and all these buildings in the background, it's just gorgeous. And then it's snowing some of this time. And, oh my god, it's amazing. And this is the arc that is more about Cynthia and her artistic interests.
Yeah, her past. Essentially, completely unbeknownst to Makoto or her or Abby, Makoto enlists them in a... because once again, Makoto has left the gang because he wants to start again a new life. Don't get this. I'll talk about this later. But so he's like, hey, I want to help this family that's been helping me out. We want to trick this art dealer into buying this painting for way more than it's priced. Turns out, unfortunately, the painting is actually a very valuable painting that had been lost to time. And the this art dealer knew about it. Did not go as planned. Absolutely not. And Cynthia actually knew this art dealer because she had a run-in with him in the past, and essentially it is a catalyst of her wanting to correct the situation that Makoto, for the lack of a better term, fucked up. And now she wants to get revenge on this guy, who turns out to be an awful human being as well.
Yeah, he has a piece.
And through this arc, we look back at Cynthia's past, her past romance, and what made her become the woman she is today. And I definitely think I want to say Snow of London is probably my favorite arc of the 3 that I watched, just because there is a bit more, I don't know, like I want to say like a human side of it.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. That makes a lot of sense.
I was surprised with how much I cared about certain characters in the first one. The second one, I got to see more of the quiet Abby, her real feelings, her emotions, and her backstory. But this one, it just felt like everyone was pulling together to do something right, to help a lot of people. And there's a lot of people that were helping in this one. And I really liked it. It was
And it's such an interesting concept because I feel like this is something that almost probably has, literally happened before, like with like the world of art and paintings and forged paintings and all this kind of shit going on. Like this is something that a lot of like art aficionados really do have to worry about is it fake? And you have to know someone who is a damn good expert with a magnifying glass to be able to tell, is that single brushstroke that looks strange, is that really his? Is that tiny little dot not supposed to be there, etc.,
Right.
etc. So you do get this sense of realism from Snow of London, where it's like not quite Mission Impossible level shit, but they're really trying to swindle this guy out of his money through paintings and auctions and fake auctions, and it's an amazing arc. I just love that one. Oh, the guy Coleman.
Coleman.
Yeah.
Yes, that was the main
Yeah.
antagonist of that arc. As much as I love that one, the ending though, I'm very mixed on because Makoto is one of those characters that like I said, I view him as the main protagonist of this anime. But like I often switch between I like him to I hate him. Or I guess not hate's a strong word. I go from I like him a lot to I really don't like this character because the choices he makes, he makes some really good choices and then he makes some really stupid choices, and I feel like his choice at the end was really stupid. Mm-hmm. Like I get what he tried to do, and I'm not trying to spoil it for you because this is a really cool moment. So we'll try to talk about this without spoiling it, but like you know what I mean, right? Yeah, and like that just to me, I'm like, really, dude? Like, why? You had this perfect plan, and you changed something about it because you felt like it was a better outcome, and I would have been pissed if I was any of the other people. And it's so hard to talk about this without spoiling anything.
Yeah, it really is. It really is.
But yeah, like, and this whole thing of like him wanting to be a con artist because he's like, you know what, fuck it, might as well go into it, and then he keeps trying to get out of it when he keeps trying to do like normal work because he's like, I just feel bad I've swindled people for years and I just feel so bad about it. I want to pay back my dues. I just want to work a normal job. It's like, why? You're doing good things. You're swindling bad people and helping good people.
Right.
Like, why do you keep wanting to leave this?
No, I think so. He does dig into that a little bit in season 2. He has this really big outburst at some point, and he's talking about how he's like, this group of con men. They believe that they're altruistic and doing it for the greater good, that they really are helping people, but in reality they themselves are just pieces of shit calling other pieces of shit, and they're like, you're all hypocrites. And it's like every single one of you is like, they cut ties with their family, they don't give a fuck about anyone else other than their crew. So he's like, you don't give a shit about anybody other than these people up until they're not useful anymore, or once they're not useful, or once they're gone, they're dead to you, like, you don't give a fuck. So he's like, we're just all cogs in the machine of this one man's plans, who does not care who he involves or forces to involve in these schemes, whether they wanted to be there or not. And he had a pretty good point. Like, Laurent, in a way, is kind of a big piece of shit, but he's a big piece of shit to the right people. And I think that's what's really important here, is that he's trying to do some good, especially in season 2, when it starts getting into much darker topics, which largely is about child trafficking involving some Japanese gangs. One of them, I believe, I don't remember the exact name of the gang. I'd have to look this up, but they're bringing in kids and selling them. But there's a second branch that like split off from this original gang and then said, hey, we're our own thing now. So there's like this rivalry between these two now really big syndicates over who is like the leader of this corporation, who has the most money, who does the most work, who should get the most profit or the cuts of whatever. And they have like this internal war, and Makoto gets a job there. He doesn't realize what they do. Like, he's at this like really fancy corporation asking this guy like to be like, hey, I've been in prison, I have a record, but like, please give me a chance to prove to you that, that I can do this. And it's really interesting because like one of the first questions that the guy has for him, he's like, so you've been in prison? And he's like, yeah, I have. And he's like, that's not a problem, because he doesn't know that the guy he's talking to is one of these men that is like highly, like a very high level in this organization, child trafficking. So they go and do their first job, and like they're in the back of this truck, and like Makoto doesn't even like, once they get in and do their shit and he sees that like there's kids there, he's like, that's what we're transporting. And the guy's like, just shut up and get in the truck and everything will be fine. Just forget everything you saw. Don't worry about it. It's all good. And Makoto's like, fuck. Like, he doesn't realize what kind of shit he got into, and it's deep shit. Like, that season gets ridiculous.
Oh,
but like I said earlier, that season is kind of split into two, both past and present, where you learn more about who this Dorothy character is, and that. So Laurent initially was not the leader of this crew. It was Dorothy, and Dorothy recruits him over. Let me see. Like they have this really big con going on, and Laurent ends up accidentally becoming a part of this thing, and then later they approach him and they're like, hey, we think you'd be perfect with the skill set that you have to help us out in this crew. And they have this job. Actually, I believe it's infiltrating the same people. It's just, this is now, so they'd have to do it twice. The first time that they try to infiltrate this child trafficking ring, which honestly, a lot of the stuff that they've been doing even in season 1 leads up to what they're doing in season 2. Like, there's years and years of people in this con group infiltrating this organization. And we find out a little bit more information on Makoto's dad and why he left, and he's wrapped up in this somehow.
Oh, Lord.
And boy, is it fucking crazy, because there is this intense relationship between him and his dad when they run back into each other, and they're like, Makoto's like, no, fuck you. I never wanted to see him again, because Laurent made the pieces move to bring them back together, and he knew that there was going to be this tension. But because of the position that his dad is in and the position that he himself is in, it's just they butt heads, and oh my god, is it good! Holy
I'll have
shit!
to check it out while I'm watching the next episode.
Yeah,
dude. Preparing for the next episode.
So fucking good. It's crazy. So a little bit more about the show's history. During an anime expo in 2019, WIT Studio revealed that a 23-episode original anime television series directed by Hiro Kaburagi, written by Ryota Kosawa, character designs by Yoshiyuki Sadamoto, and music composed by Yutaka Yamada. I will say this music is another phenomenal piece to this. It reminds me a lot of, like, I would say the level of goodness that like Tank brings at the beginning of Cowboy Bebop.
Oh,
like it has this really exciting jazz feel to it, and it's really well done. It's a phenomenal piece. So its theme song, called GP, while its ending theme song is actually a cover of a song called The Great Pretender, which was originally performed by Queen lead vocalist Freddie Mercury, originally recorded by The Platters. And this was like a song from, I think it was like 1980s, either 1983 or 1987. And wow. I did not know this. Now, WIT Studio has done work for a lot of different anime series, and they have got some big names under their belt, like Attack on Titan, Vinland Saga, Ranking of Kings, Spy Family, Pokemon the movie The Power of Us, Bubble, if you haven't watched that yet. They've also done video games like Tales of the Rays, which is part of the Tales series. It's a mobile game.
Love me the Tales games.
Dude, right? Blaze Blue, the cross tag battle, which was released on PS4 and the Nintendo Switch back in 2018.
Man,
it's like WIT Studio has got some good shit, especially when it comes to Spy Family. Like, if you enjoy, I would say the level. It's like if you like the animation of Spy Family, it's that, but like somebody said, yeah, but make it better.
It's like a little more anime, if that makes sense. Like, it's a bit more. It's like oh my god, what's the right word? Like,
Like
exacerbated or like exaggerated.
Yeah, like
It's that, but a little more exaggerated.
the characters seem very grounded and very realistic. Their clothes aren't crazy. They don't have wacky hair designs and shit. It's all very real feeling, and they fucking nailed it when it comes to this. Everything feels like this could be real. If it wasn't for the fact that some of these cons are a little, I would say, fantastical. Like they do some shit that I don't know if anyone could quite do that. But there's also some things where I think some people really could, and these cons are, man, they're out of this world when it comes to some of the shit that happens, and it's like, how did I say that earlier? It's like Death Note. Like okay, better Death Note. It's not like Yagami and like L being like, I knew that you would do that, so I did this instead. But I knew that you would do that you knew that I would do this, so I did this instead, and I outsmarted you. Like, it feels more natural the way that they have these events unfold. Where Death Note sometimes feels kind of forced and a little cheesy, but I mean, a book about writing people's names in it to kill them, also maybe a little cheesy, but damn do I love Death Note.
Yeah.
So fucking good.
So I read an article about how this show is the best crime series, or I guess focused on a group of swindlers or con artists since Lupin the Third. And they're saying
would agree with that.
A lot of people are saying this is actually better than Lupin the Third. And it's been a literal hot second since I've seen Lupin the Third. I don't think I watched Lupin the Third since I was a kid.
Right.
But I remember it, and it's so hard to say things, without a lot of bias, because as a kid, my choices or my the types of anime that I was into is much different than what I am into now. And I feel like as a kid, I wasn't able to comprehend and understand certain animes that as an adult, I'd be like, oh, I understand that now.
Yep.
I definitely want to go back and try watching Lupin the Third again, but I cannot imagine it being better than this.
No, and so Lupin the Third is a bit more. I mean, it is a really solid anime. I do love that series. It's something that I've known about for a long time. I'm not necessarily caught up on it because it's a huge series. There's a ton of stuff for it. But the art for Lupin is a bit more, I'd say, in the cartoony realm, whereas this is it feels like they were more meticulous with all of their character designs. Like they actually had time and a big budget to do a big production.
Right.
Where Lupin very much feels like an anime that was done with minimum budget. They just had to get a cool story out that would entertain people. And don't get me wrong, Lupin's great. Just the level of artistry is not the same as Great Pretender. Not even close.
Now, did you know, in the English dub, Kusar Muhammad, I hope I pronounced that right, is actually a sketch comedian.
Oh, really?
So she typically tries to make people laugh. She talks a lot. But it's super funny that she is the voice actress for Abigail Jones, being the quiet, fuck everyone around me, like I don't like anyone type of person.
A real ice queen.
Yeah. And then fun fact, Laurent was confirmed to be bisexual by the show creator.
Really?
Yep. And you know what? As soon as I read that, I'm like, yeah, I see it. I can see it.
That changes some things. Like I never really thought about that. Like he seems like he's just he's smooth with everybody.
Oh,
yeah. He can talk his way out of anything, and he's very charming and witty. And I could totally see that. Okay, especially in season 2. I get it. Okay. No, that makes total sense after. Okay. No, I know I keep referencing season 2 because you haven't seen it, but it is eye-opening as to why the events of season 1 happen, or what the events lead up to, and it's fucking crazy. So that being said, I don't really have a whole lot more to talk about the actual show without ruining anything or giving away a ton of spoilers. Do you have anything else you want to add to this before we move on to a really fun topic that I found some shit on?
Well, you know what? We should probably read what Aiden had to say about the show.
That's true. We should bring that up.
Let me bring this up real quick. We talk a lot about we talk about a lot of different anime, a lot of memes. Here we go. So, basically, Aiden's thoughts, quote for quote, If you love heists and con movies like Ocean's 11 or The Fast and Furious, yes, he does mean Fast and the Furious. They do heists in teams, technically. Then you'll probably like this show. It does a really great job at storytelling, pacing is nice, and amazing music. Some music which is composed by Yutaka Yamada, who also did stuff for Tokyo Ghoul and Vinland Saga, which we mentioned earlier. He loved how the drums in the background would keep the tempo of the show going. Go back and listen to the drums. Trust him on this one.
I'm the drummer here.
Yeah, Brent is an actual drummer, not just rock band. He just loves how the show can go from a very happy tone to very dark, like in season 2. Overall, he says he'd give the show maybe a 6.5 out of 10, maybe close to 7. But him personally, he's just not a huge fan of heist and con stuff. So he liked it, but it's just not what he typically likes.
So he did mention that his favorite case was case 1, the Los Angeles connection, which is interesting because it is like the more it's one that's more exciting, I think, in terms of that it's a drug deal, it's a drug cartel, and like so it's real high stakes right from the beginning where it could be dangerous and their lives are on the line. But things obviously turn out fine because there is a case 2, but it's really cool. Like some of the way that they have to manipulate that boss. I think his name was Hugo.
Something along those lines. He was a movie maker, but also a drug lord. Yeah. Which is interesting. Like, you liked the second case. Singapore I liked the third, and Aiden liked the first.
Yeah. Now, I would also say, I love the show overall, but I would honestly say between Singapore Sky, Snow of London, and Wizard of the Far East, I like all 3 of them, but I love the bright colors that are used in Singapore Sky. Because of its location, it's very tropical, and man, they must have spent more time on the backgrounds than the character animation sometimes. It's crazy. Dude, it's so fucking fun. But yeah, definitely watch this series if you're a fan of either great art, great music, you love a good crime drama. It's just, it hits all of these things for me, and it's a very cohesive show that doesn't seem too wacky. This is one that if you've got a partner or a friend that's like, hey, I want to get into anime, but I want something that's like easy to digest, check this one out, especially if if they're friends of like CSI or whatever the fuck, I can't criminal minds, or fucking what's that show, Law and Order. There we go.
Hey,
if you're like a Law and Order kind of thing, really fucking good. It's great for so many reasons. Now, one of the things that I thought was kind of fun is we're kind of coming up to time here. We got like 45 minutes. So actually we're coming up to about 50. So we got a little time here to cover some of these. I thought it would be interesting to take a look at some of the real famous con artists throughout history and take a look at what they did. And some of this I think we've already heard of before. Some of it was new to me, and some of it's pretty damn shocking. So from 2 sources that I looked up, from Rasmussen.edu and ScoopWhoop.com, Scoop Whoop. The first case, which was interesting, is this guy almost coined the term con man, was William Thompson. Back in the late 1840s, he went up to complete strangers on the streets of New York and asked them a simple question. Do you have confidence in me to trust me with your watch until tomorrow? I don't know why anybody would be like, sure, stranger, let me go ahead and let you borrow my fancy things. And then he just wouldn't return it, but he would do it all over the place. And for some reason, people fucking...
Holy crap, people were dumb back then.
Right, what the fuck? Like, how stupid...
I mean, it just kind of goes to show, like, how trusting people were back in the day. No one trusts anybody anymore.
Yeah, no, as we shouldn't, because some people are just assholes trying to take your watch. Now, like... This is like the old equivalent of, oh, don't click that link in that email. Like, if anybody could, like, hey, would you trust me with your iPhone? No. No, sir, I would not. For what purpose would you need to borrow my phone for a day and then promise to meet me back here tomorrow at high noon to get it back? There is none.
There is none.
There is no reason.
That's hilarious.
So why are these dumbasses in 1840s any different? What the fuck? So he did eventually get caught where someone recognized him that he had conned before, and he went to a police officer nearby. They were able to apprehend him. He was arrested for theft, and the New York Herald called him the one who had been taken advantage of by Thompson to come and testify against him. And he was the first guy that was, basically coined the term confidence man or con man. So I've got a few of these. I only picked up 7 that I thought were interesting. Charles Ponzi. You've heard of a Ponzi scheme? We've all heard of Ponzi schemes. Charles Ponzi is the reason why it was named. In the early 1900s, Ponzi was struggling to make ends meet. So after receiving a letter from Spain, Ponzi had a novel idea that he would buy postal coupons from countries with weak economies and sell them to countries with stronger economies. The scheme began when he pitched his idea to potential investors, promising to double their money in 45 days. With this idea, when it failed to create a profit, all he did was bring in new investors and used their investors to pay off the original investors. So he just trades them out and rotates them out.
Oh, wow.
Then those people reported that they had gains because they're like, hey, obviously we received our money back, so shit, he's got to be doing something right. So more and more investors started to trust him and began to pocket more and more of the invested money. Within 8 months, Ponzi had brought in an estimated $15 million through roughly 40,000 investors.
Jesus.
Holy fuck. Now, how did he get caught? It all began to change for Ponzi after he was sued by Joseph Daniels, and this caught the attention of local papers. The Boston Post began digging into his company, and as more was coming to light about its illegitimacy, postal and legal authorities began to investigate him as well. Ultimately, he would be convicted of mail fraud. Ponzi spent the next 15 years in and out of jail. When he died in 1949, he had $75 to his name. Wow, what the fuck? Using stamps. I mean, don't get me wrong, genius, but how in the fuck? I know there's got to be shit out there just like this today that someone's doing some real shit, and you know what? There are, and we will get to those. Sylvia Brown. This one was really fun. I love these. She was a celebrity psychic in the late 20th century who had her own radio show and made regular appearances on the Montel Williams and Larry King live show. For decades, Brown made her living from communicating with the dead and helping answer questions from individuals willing to pay $700 for 30 minutes of her fucking stupid service. Jesus Christ. The Skeptical Inquirer investigated Brown's various claims. Of the 115 cases they were able to review, her accuracy was 0%.
Oh, God.
Wow, if that isn't the biggest fucking red flag. 25 of these cases showed Brown to be demonstrably wrong, with the other 90 still being unsolved despite her help. 2 of her more famously inaccurate predictions include a 2002 prediction where she told concerned parents that their son had been kidnapped and killed with his body somewhere by 2 jagged boulders, as she claimed. 4 years later, he was found alive. In 2004, Brown again told grieving parents that their daughter was dead in water. 11 years later, the daughter was found, tragically, after her mother had passed away. So how did she get caught? She didn't. At least not connected to her predictions. 200 hours of community service for investment fraud was her only notable legal trouble. A quick scan of the internet today will tell you that she still has many followers who believe in her. Fucking kooks. Stop it. That shit ain't real. She continued her psychic readings until 2013. Dear, this is the 20th fucking century now. This was only 10 years ago. Why are people still this fucking stupid?
It's kind of that bullshit of remember, I'm sensing you have a person in your life. Their name starts with, I'm getting a J. Is there a person with J in their name?
I know a J.
Yes. John? No,
his
Jerry?
name is Jay. You got it right the first time.
Oh, yes, I knew I did. Yes, exactly. I saw that.
Oh, my God.
And you have emotions towards this person. Oh, I do. I love them. That's what I saw.
Yep, I knew that you loved them. I could tell by the aura that you sent. And they're over there fucking raining money on them like, yes, bitch. Yeah. Yes. Fucking, oh, my God.
And people just want to believe in crazy things. Now, hear me out. I do believe in certain things. I believe in ghosts. I believe in some super
Like paranormal
stuff. You know,
shit,
like I believe in Bigfoot. You know, I believe in Loch Ness Monster. But at the same time, I'm not gonna like fucking pay someone hundreds, if not thousands of dollars because they say they can do something that they haven't proved.
Right.
Like, that's stupid.
But she's like a real predator because she did this shit largely to people that were grieving. So they're
Yes.
already in a really fucked up mind state. And they're like, we've tried everything. This is the last thing we haven't tried. And it, like, she seems to be able to guess all of her information. So she has to know, right?
Right.
I mean, she's got the touch. She's got the power to know the shit. And it's fucking stupid. Let me see. Notably, another incorrect prediction. Blah 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 blah.
She died in 2013 at the let's see, at 77 years of age.
Yeah,
Notably, another incorrect prediction for her was she told Larry King that she was going to live until she was 88. Wrong until the end, baby.
Right? Like she saw 7, so she's like, yes, the lucky 7. No, 8s. 88 is fucking God. She's fucking stupid, and she's dead. Even dead, she's stupid.
Well, we also got Frank Abagnale.
I think it's Abagnale.
Abagnale.
Now
okay.
this is. Have you seen the movie Catch Me If You Can?
I've heard of it.
Oh, so there is this movie, and this again, obviously, this is a real case. Leonardo DiCaprio plays this guy, and. Oh my god, that movie is so fucking good. This is the movie that got me into Leonardo DiCaprio films. I was like, damn, he's a good actor. So it's this the Movio. Wow, it's a
Movio.
It's a Leonardo DiCaprio movio that shows him in life on the big screen, where he plays Frank Abagnale. And his own estimation, the movie Catch Me If You Can is about 80% accurate of the events of Frank's real life. When Abagnale was just a teenager, he used his dad's credit card at a gas station and convinced the attendants to give him cash back for the sale. Abagnale quickly discovered by his father, who sent him to school for wayward boys before eventually running away at 16. This is where Abagnale begins his life conning, as he altered his license to make him look older so he could get better jobs, and began to write hundreds of bad checks before needing to go on the run. Knowing that he would need to increase the ruse if he wanted to continue his scamming, Abagnale faked being a pilot by figuring out where to get a uniform using a fake employee ID. During this time, he flew all around the world before airlines and police began to catch on. He also impersonated a town doctor in Georgia and cashed over $2.5 million in bad checks during this time on the run. Now, how did he get caught? Unlike the movie, there wasn't a prolonged encounter with an FBI agent on his trail. Abagnale attempted to settle down in France when the French police caught up to him thanks to a tip from an ex-girlfriend who recognized his face on a wanted poster. He was arrested for forgery, and his jail time included 6 months in a French prison, 7 months in a Swedish prison, and ultimately was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. The movie is obviously more exaggerated, but wow, that movie is fun. Like, it's one of the first movies I can think of where you root for the bad guy. You're like, fucking let him get away, just let him do it. Like, he lives such a cool life. He's that's I think the movie where do you concur, doctor? He's like, yes, I concur. And like, he doesn't even know what the fucking definition of concur is. And he's like doing like open surgery on a person, and he's like making a move, and the doctor'd be like, navigate him to where he's supposed to go. And he'd be like, yes, I'm stupid. I didn't realize I was doing this wrong. And he like performs surgeries without ever knowing a fucking thing about how to do surgery. This is living proof that I think people don't need fucking school for shit. We live in an age of YouTube. You can learn how to do fucking anything by watching other people do it.
Yeah.
Like, the excuse of you need to be well educated in this to do this, but the fuck you do, because someone else already is. Have them train me. Well, they went to school, back when it cost like $200.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Work a part-time job, you'll pay for college, no problem.
Yeah, fucking right. Like, we are far past that shit. Kids learn more from YouTube today than I honestly believe they learn in school. Because
100%.
Because they're watching something they want to watch. And let them watch from YouTube video to YouTube video about doing fucking stupid shit. Like, the it's fucking crazy how much these kids absorb, and they learn about what they want to learn about and become specialists in that thing, as opposed to, well, I want to be this, but it's like an $80,000 loan, and then I need books. And
So, something that just came to mind that actually relates to this entire subject of, con artists. The movie Accepted.
Except, oh yeah,
With oh my god, I can't remember his name, but Jake Long.
Yeah.
He doesn't know what he wants to do, and he wants to go to college, but he can't get into college. So basically, he tricks his parents that he got accepted into a college. He takes a abandoned sane asylum and essentially cleans up the first like half of it, so he can show his parents who are going to be dropping him off at college. And he hires on all these performers to pretend to be college students while he's getting dropped off by his parents that he's at college. And then while he's away, he's just living in this place, like playing games with his friends, trying to figure stuff out. All of a sudden he realizes the website, it works, and people got accepted to this college, and they start showing up in hundreds. All these people that couldn't get accepted to any other college, but it got accepted here.
wow.
And the way that the movie ends essentially is that he realizes that college should be a place for people to want to learn the passions they have. One of his friends just found out he loves cooking, so he essentially starts a cooking class. One of his friends loves wood shop and photography. Other people, they just take all these classes that the students make up, and they teach other students. And it essentially drove this whole thing of like, no one wants to go to college because college is awful, and they just teach you the stuff that they want you to learn instead of the things that excite you and that you want to make a career out of.
Right, or things that actually apply to real world shit.
Right, I wish I learned how to balance a checkbook in high school.
But instead, I learned the fucking quadratic formula, and I don't even remember that.
Yeah, and they were like, you're not going to have a calculator in your pocket all the time. Joke's on them. I got a calculator on my goddamn phone.
I got a whole computer. In fact, I have literally all of the world's information right here.
Yeah.
Why do I ever need to fucking go to school to learn from a textbook when I can look up, as long as I know there's a credible source of information, you can just fucking go look that shit up.
Yeah.
I don't fucking go like, oh no, my computer has an issue. Better go to a computer tech class for 4 years before I can figure it out. I go to fucking YouTube and look up the answer.
I paid $100 a year for Skillshare, and I learned how to edit videos and make thumbnails and all this stuff that if I wanted to take a class on doing any of that, it would have costed me hundreds of dollars. It's just... college is a scam.
It is. It really is anymore. And it's fucking ridiculous. Phil, tell me about Bernie Madoff.
Bernie, you know what? I've actually heard about this person.
Yeah, he's famous.
Well, Charles Ponzi is credited as being the inventor of the Ponzi scheme. Bernie Madoff actually executed the largest Ponzi scheme in history. Since Madoff's con lasted decades, there have been numerous articles, books, and even miniseries that delve into all the sordid details. In the 1960s, Madoff. He made off.
Yeah, I was going to say, Madoff made off.
He made off with money. Madoff founded a small trading firm, which helped revolutionize the way stocks are traded. This success led him to launch an investment advisory business in the 1990s, where his scheme began. Like Ponzi, Madoff paid investors with funds from his more recent investors, following his earlier investors' claims that were incredibly high returns. It was those high returns and satisfied investors that allowed Madoff to get away with the scheme for so long that even banks looked the other way. How did he get caught, though? Economic crisis in 2008 caught up to him. Many of Madoff's clients took out their money faster than he could bring new investments in. He confessed to his brother and his two sons the nature of his business, and then they turned him in to the federal authorities the next day. Oof. Yep. Madoff would plead guilty to 11 felony counts: fraud, money laundering, perjury, before being sentenced to 150 years in prison, where he later died.
Yep.
Can you, first of all, getting sent to prison is awful, but imagine someone says, yeah, you're going to spend 150 years. Mm-hmm. You're not going to live. It's almost like there's this there's going to be a certain number that they sentence you to that's just like overkill.
Do you remember? So this is sort of related to that in a very current way with the unfortunate events that happened. I think it was, I don't remember exactly where was that. The guy that ran over a bunch of people in that parade with his truck. He was sentenced like something over like 1,000 years.
Oh, yep, I remember. It's like it was like 1,000 years or like 9 lifetimes, 9 or 10 lifetimes.
I mean, oh my, like, no, I mean, that guy deserves all fucking, 20,000. Like, fuck that man until the day he dies. Fuck him to death. But, like, imagine being a person that, like, that's happening to you, and you're like, wow, 1 lifetime, you're like, wow. And then you're like, 2 lifetimes, you're like, okay, you really don't, there's no point in that. 3 lifetimes, you're like, okay, I get it, I'm dead. I mean, you don't, 4, 5, and you're like, okay, fucking stop. I know, I'm dead. I get it.
Yeah, there's no choice. There's no chance of you.
Yeah, 0 chance. I mean, and that man deserves 0 chance. Negative chance. Fuck that man to death.
And what's crazy is that they'll be like, these are served not concurrent, but they are, because concurrent means like side by side. So if they say 10 lifetimes,
it means after another.
Like they were.
So if for some reason he's a fucking wizard or sorcerer and should happen to live past 800 years, he's still not getting out until he's like 1,020. And you know what? We don't have a lifespan that long. Our medical advances aren't that good. That man is dead.
Yeah, and that this whole planet's gonna be dead by then. So
fuck that guy. He's such a piece of shit. Another one that we found. So I've got 2 more for you, and they're pretty short. I promise you. Anna Sorokin. There's a new Netflix series about this, which was really good. I really enjoyed it, where she is a con artist who swindled money by being part of this circuit that she was basically looting. A lot of her exploits were based on lies and manipulation, so she managed to escape legal trouble on these fronts. However, she had done enough forgery and cheating to still serve time in jail. What she did was that she basically broke her way into these really high fucking profile societies of super rich people by dressing fancy and saying that she herself was rich and fancy when in fact she was not. It would constantly be like, oh, I don't have any money, or oh, paying money is beneath me, or I'll pay you back later. To these really fucking rich people. And they'd be like, yeah, no big deal. They got fucking shit tons of money. They're like, yeah, it's fine, just pay me back. And then she just wouldn't. She would constantly have excuses for why she couldn't, or what have you. And she would get gifts the fucking time. Like, just pretending to be rich can make you rich. But it was seen as fraud. But once like people found out she really didn't have money, they're like, oh, you're just a peasant, actually, a poor person. And oh man, the portrayal that is done by her on the show is fucking awesome. It's such a good show because it gets into like her psyche a little bit of like, they almost think that she has like split personality disorder, or that she's got some sort of mental illness where she can't like break free of this character that believes she has a bunch of money and like she really believes it. And it's fucking crazy. But she wasn't even from the US. She was from Europe. She just like moved her way over and was like, yeah, I'm some like rich foreign person and you don't know me, but blah, blah, blah. And it's fucking crazy. What about Elizabeth Holmes?
We have Elizabeth Holmes was a student at Stanford University and came up with the idea of inventing a chip that could essentially predict infections, etc. by hold on, what's that sentence?
She could tell essentially predict infections.
Could essentially predict infections, etc. by taking vitals from the body. Obviously, it was not possible to make such a device. I don't even know if we have that nowadays.
Nope. Well, that is nowadays. This is now.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. As she... obviously, it was not possible back in the day, she was told by her professor. However, Elizabeth was driven, and she dropped out of college to start her own company. Now, this would have made for a great success story, except Elizabeth's device actually did not work. She produced fake blood tests and whatnot to secure billions of dollars in investment and got insane media coverage. Ironically, her lies came out to the public through media reports, but she continues to fascinate people in the entertainment business.
Yeah, like that's really recent. Like that's like maybe 6-7 years ago. Like this is shit that's been in the news where she's fucking rich as hell. like still, I think I know she was. I don't remember if she was sentenced to any prison time or anything, but yeah, she just makes this fake piece of shit, and she's like, "Yeah, I can tell you everything about your body. You just do this, and it brings up your vitals." And everyone believed her. Like, wow, this is fucking magical. There's no way.
That's so crazy. Like somebody kind of like bring it back to like Laurent. His if you have the attitude and the confidence that you can convince people to do almost anything,
Right. I mean, does that also
crazy.
take like the level of is there such thing as a charisma man? Like, if you're charismatic enough, you can get away with a bunch of shit. Unfortunately, our last guy was so not even charismatic, but he was an actor. This is our last one that I've got here, so I'm sorry if you didn't like listen to this shit. So, but too bad. I thought this was really fucking
this is interesting.
Right?
You're learning something, people.
Robert Hendy Freegard. This guy was truly evil. He would tell people that he was an MI5 agent and ask them to go undercover with him. He would tell them to do all sorts of bizarre things by introducing fear into their hearts that they would too be killed just by virtue of knowing him. He made them cut off ties from their families and friends, and in the end, he would take all of their money.
Holy shit.
The victims who were desperate to get out of this fake and dangerous situation would give him all that they had. He was first arrested in 2002, but has been a free man since 2009 and lives in France now.
Of course.
Wow. What a piece of shit. Like how like that, it seems like it would be too fantastical to believe. Like this, like I've seen this movie before. Fucking Tom Cruise rolls in, does some big stupid shit in the middle of a fight. Somehow I get dragged into it, and he's like, "Oh, I'm a secret agent. And I've got a bunch of big shit to do, but now they've seen you with me, so you got to come with me, and I have to save your life." Like that's fucking that's wild. That is like literally every Mission Impossible movie ever.
Oh my god.
And it's crazy. This guy's like, you know what? I bet I could do that. Holy fuck.
Man, I'm not a smooth talker. I could never convince anyone. I could never be a con man. Like,
Right.
I stutter, and I second guess myself too much to ever be that confidence guy.
Wow. It's fucking crazy. I mean, honestly, I think it'd be kind of fun to play that role of the MI5 agent. Like, how do I, what do I have to do to get this person to believe me? Like, he would have to be all fucking in. Like, could you imagine, like, he has his, like, clothing, like, hand ripped and torn, and he looks all dirty, or he's got cuts or something on his face, he's got dirt all over, and his hair's fucked up, and he's like, "There's fucking men, they're after me, and this is real dangerous." Like, he tries to do his makeup up like a fucking Tom Cruise movie.
Come with me if you want to live.
Yeah. Like, Arnold? Like, is that you? No, it's not me. Watch out for the chopper. God damn. That'd be fucking wild.
Man, but so overall, what would you give The Great Pretender?
You know, I don't want to give out perfect scores because I think that's, you know, it's impossible, but this is damn close to me for its overall quality. Like, I can't say that, you know, I'm trying to judge something unbiasedly. I'm not going to be like, "Oh, its story is the best because it's a good story." Well, that's going to be subjective. You might like the story, you might not, but the art, the music, the fucking character designs, the voice acting, it is all top notch. I would absolutely at least give this a 9 out of 10.
Damn. Personally, with only watching the first season, I would say I wanted to like it more than I did. I like a lot of the characters. Laurent's probably still my favorite character. But there's just something about it that like just is holding me back from really loving it. And maybe that's because I didn't watch season 2.
Maybe.
But right now I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. Like,
fair. It's
definitely above average. And like you said, the music's great, the animation's great, the characters I think are very memorable.
Yeah.
And I definitely want to watch season 2 so I can get that perspective that you have. But so far, having just seen season 1, give it a 7 out of 10. But I definitely recommend it to anyone that likes something that's a bit different than we typically do. There's not a lot of con man or swindler, or, you know, like the main characters, the crooks, are supposed bad guys. And it's interesting. I definitely say check it out.
Yeah, for sure. So I've got just a couple things before we wrap this up. So a couple of the last things I found, an interview on Anime News Network by Kim Morrissey and Lindsay Loveridge that was taken on December 14th of 2020. This is where most of the information that actually came out from these guys that I mean, I didn't have, there's no information on their personal lives, but we have some good insight on the show. As a quote from Hiro Kaburagi during this interview, he said, "Working with Mr. Kosawa was a very good experience. When I read his scripts, I thought it was interesting how he left so much leeway for the characters or actors to interpret the nuance of the lines and incorporate their own movements. Normally, when it comes to anime, the script is a little more fleshed out. I think it's because there's a different amount of freedom when it comes to ad-libs, pauses, and acting. So I think it's because there's a different amount of freedom when it comes to ad-libs, pausing, and acting. For me, the air race in Case 2 was the biggest challenge. My blood ran cold at the script stage, but I patted my chest in relief when Madbox, a 3D CG studio, joined the project, focusing on the race scene. This is just between us, but the script for the final episode had the streets of Roppongi get destroyed ostentatiously written in it, but no matter how much we tried to make it work, it would have taken more calories than usual, so we scaled it down. And you find out what that is at the end of the second season for this big destruction. They were planning to fucking blow up the fucking city.
Oh my god.
And they had again, with how detailed these backgrounds are, he looked at that and was like, I can't fucking do that. No, that's not gonna. So yeah, they had to cut back on it. And I mean, with the way that it ended, I think it fit perfectly. It gave the people that they were conning exactly what they both wanted and deserved at the same time. And it's fucking great. I love how it ended. I just couldn't believe it. Now, I stopped there because it's really funny. It's in the middle of our podcast. I forgot to mute a track with our outro. So our outro just starts playing in the middle of me fucking reading this. And I'm trying to read while I've got...
It's like, wait a minute, what happened?
We won't hear that during the actual shit. I'll move that over. But I just thought that was fucking hilarious. I'm like, wow. I kind of forgot about that, huh? The last quote I've got from Yoto Kosawa: "I've always liked films about con games like The Sting and Dirty Rotten Scoundrels. It's very difficult to write a script for this genre, so it needed courage, but I decided to challenge myself with it. If you put off the things you want to do for later, then your life will end before you know it. After all. To make the audience sympathize with the protagonist, it's not so important for them to be good or evil so much as likable or unlikable. You can even like a villain if you can think of them as endearing, hard to hate, or understandable. So when it comes to the protagonist, Edamura, I tried to express as much of his psychological movements, his worries, and his internal conflicts as possible. Also, even though he's a swindler, I gave him a gullible personality. No one can hate a character who makes them laugh, after all." And I just thought that was really interesting that he touches on, a little bit about his main character and why he is the way he is. Because, I mean, he's right. He is gullible. He keeps falling into these fucking pitfalls that goddamn Laurent set years ahead of time, and he doesn't see it coming. Because Laurent's a piece of shit. And he's the master of puppets.
He's great. Like I said, I'm not a huge fan of Makoto. Sometimes I really like him. Other times I'm like, God damn it, Makoto. But Laurent's always great. I like Laurent pretty much the entire time.
Yeah, he's such a
I could only
great
wish I
character.
was that smooth.
Yeah, everyone can. I know, he's such an amazing guy. So, on this show, on Google, with a typical audience rating of 4.8 out of 5.
Ooh.
Damn. Most people loved this show, and I agree wholeheartedly. With one of the first reviews being, "I just finished watching season 1, and I'm so glad I tried this anime. It is so worth watching. I was looking for a good anime series to watch since I'm waiting for a new season of Attack on Titan, Haikyuu, and Classroom of the Elite.
Damn.
Got some great taste, my guy. My girl, don't know who you are. Doesn't, because your name is Purpura Vitae? I don't know. I was trying out a similar series, but just had some very bad and predictable plot, not thrilling or fun at all. Meanwhile, The Great Pretender was really good. The plot is unique and quite refreshing. It goes on, but I'm not going to read all that shit. But yeah, 4.8 out of 5 is a general thing out of almost 700 ratings.
With 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, too.
100% on Rotten. Holy shit, that's tough.
Yep. MyAnimeList.net has it an 8.2 out of 10, with IMDb at a 7.9 out of 10.
Dang.
With a total of 677 ratings on Google.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. That's good stuff. I mean, I'm trying to find a lower one just to see if I can because I want to show both sides.
Yeah, right. There's one star review. How do I see this?
Oh god, I kind of want to see that too. But here's a 3 stars out of 5 by Wine42. I think that's the correct way to pronounce that. Act 1 is really amazing. I highly encourage you to watch it. It will keep you engaged and on your feet. Act 2 has great character development. Love how they give you a hint at what's to come by doing by what they're doing in the fighting ring. And Act 3 was not in good taste. You kind of knew what was going to happen the entire time. Only the reason I finished it is because I wanted to say that I watched it all. Hope season 2 will use more pointers from Act 1. I guess this person did not watch Act 2. Oh, this was 2 years ago.
Yeah, so it probably wasn't available then. Yeah.
Oh, where's that 1 star review? I want to see some salt.
I got it. By Ronan Conaway.
Ooh.
You fucking suck. You're wrong. He says it was all right at first, and then the farther I got into it, it was the worse the show got. Well, he used the wrong word there. I got into it the worst the show got. That's wrong. So not only is your opinion wrong, your spelling was wrong. The characters were okay, but the story fell apart pretty fast, and then was a slog watching it. See, I think it's just that you don't pay attention to anything, and you just didn't have any idea what was actually going on, and therefore you hated it, just like your review. I just could not force myself to finish it. And as a person, when I watch anime, well, are you not a person any other time? What are you? And as a person, when I watch anime, I watch the show in its entirety every time, but this time I just could not. 2 people found this helpful. 2 people actually read this and said, I agree with this man who is only a person when he watches anime. It's the worst it gets when it gets worst.
Schrodinger's anime.
Jesus. Wow, I'm sorry. That man's wrong, which is why there's only one star review. I'm going to mark it unhelpful because he's a dingus. Thank you for your feedback.
Damn, do you want a margarita for your salt?
No. No, in fact, I do not. I'm a big fan of salt. I love the way it tastes. I'm probably going to die of high cholesterol.
Oof. Well, it's the year 2022. We're probably going to die of something besides high cholesterol.
Yeah, this man loved his French fries is what they're going to put on my fucking tombstone, and I'm going to, from the grave, be like, fuck yeah, thumbs up. It's going to be fucking great, and then I'm going to sprinkle some on the ground. God damn.
Oh, man, but I think, where are we at for time right now?
We're definitely out of time, and I think that's
time?
going to do that for us here today.
Sweet.
Do you have any last remarks on this before we go?
I guess I say it's a definitely above average, solid show. Definitely want to check out season 2 while we're doing research for our next episode.
Ooh, Beastars.
Beastars, yeah.
I've heard really good things. Aiden was very adamant about this show, and I watched episode 1 last night, and damn, what the fuck?
Yeah, I was. I wanted to avoid this one because I saw just the animal things, and I'm just like, God damn.
I'm like, it's fucking furry central, but the topics they get into, I'm like really impressed. But hey, I think that's going to do it for us here at the Men of Zen. You can check our social media out at the Men of Zen on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. We're on all that shit.
Mm-hmm.
You can also, again, check out w.gg. Get yourself some W and use Men of Zen code at checkout for 10% off of your order. I want to thank Schminkadelic for the use of our intro and outro. And I think that's going to do it for us here at the Men of Zen. So once again, my name is Brent.
I'm Phil.
And this has been the Men of Zen.
Stay Zen.